I love it, and I love that I can create that and share it with these guys, and that they can really appreciate it. And
that's so amazing to me, and I think you'll see where I'm going with this pretty quickly. And that's exactly what I think about when, for one, I think about this and what we're doing right now, just trying to preserve memories and things like that, record awesome conversations, see what God's doing. But also, I feel like that's literally the Gospels, as they're written in the New Testament, or really the Old Testament as well. The original reason, the only reason why people would have historical records is this is something memorable. This is something God did, especially with Moses and Sinai and the commandments and all that stuff. It's something amazing happened. God did something amazing. People were affected. Their lives were changed. They'd never seen anything like it before. This has to be remembered. And so they make these rituals, they make these feasts and these offerings and these days that, to memorialize it, because it was something great and it was something special that brought the community together, that brought a sense of peace, a sense of joy. And especially in the New Testament, that is, the gospel according to Mark, the gospel according to Luke and John and Matthew and all of Acts and stuff. It's a recording in a different medium. It's just straight on papyrus scrolls or whatever they had in the day. It's something amazing happened, and we are blessed because of it, and we want to enjoy that onward towards eternity. And we never want to forget this. We never want to forget what Christ did for us. We never want to forget his love, his sacrifice, his death and his resurrection, that death has been defeated, victory has been won. And that mentality I see so much just in you, in creating these memories, but also just editing and doing anything in general, because you always have this spirit of excellence about you, where you want to get the most pristine account, like the Gospel of Luke. I'll tell you, that's my favorite gospel, because Luke was a physician and he was super orderly, and the introduction to the Gospel of Luke is in order that you may have an accurate account, O Theophilus, which just means a lover of God. I don't know if it's a real person or not. It's in order that you may have an accurate account concerning the things that have happened and that have been among us, that we have seen and heard, because many have tried to tell the story, but I'm going to investigate this further. That's why Luke has the most extensive gospel. He goes into John the Baptist's birth and Elizabeth, and how Zacharias, I think, is it Zacharias? Might mess that up. Zachariah, not Zachariah, the father of John. Gosh, I feel bad that I'm gonna mess that up. John the Baptist's father got the lips shut up with the angel because he told him that he was gonna This is a lot of detail that Mark didn't quite hit on, John didn't quite hit on, but Luke, you have that super orderly and extensive account of the gospel, because he's I don't want to miss a beat. I don't want to miss a thing.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That. And I feel that's you. That's so you, and I love that, because you are so meticulous in everything that you do, and you really don't want to miss a beat. And if there's something that is off a little bit, it'll bug you, and it's frustrating to see that, because I'm okay, just let it go a little bit, Austin. But it's amazing how much your spirit of excellence just drives you to make these pristine memories, but also again just to proclaim the gospel, doing everything you do for the glory of God, and getting to see your passion in that as well. It's oh my gosh, not only are you good at this, not only is it a reflection of what literally everybody's done in the past with recording the gospel, recording God's story. It's you love it. You absolutely love it. And I'm just getting to see that for you helps. Was part of the reason I was this. I was sorry, lost words there. Part of the reason I wanted to start everything we're doing here, it was man, I want to see this level of passion in everybody.
Yeah.
Because I know people have it with something. Everybody's got a passion. Everybody's got a thing that their face lights up when they start talking about it. And a lot of us share that common passion of Christ and of Jesus, and we can talk about him for hours and days. But everyone also has this, avenue, this vocation where Christ shows up, and there's just these different facets of Christ that we get to see through the passions and experiences that you have. And those are so encouraging, so empowering to all of us, really. And I'm so glad that I get to hear that from you, and I've gotten to hear it a couple times, really, in the bits and pieces, but just literally that whole orderly account, maybe not so orderly account of taking a log, and having fish here, and the fact that that's so memorable to you, but that even as you're telling me, people listening might not be able to see, your face lights up, your voice goes up, and you're just everything is so joyous, and your heart is swelling, and I love getting to see that in you, and that's the reason like why we're here, is just to build each other and like encourage one another. You know, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to say on that, and just like how you've kind of felt, I mean, about maybe like more of the logging, maybe like just really how in a spirit of excellence you kind of, I mean, maybe with we were talking earlier about the coaching with the directing of the videos and the B-roll for Concordia and stuff like that, how maybe you just have this different spirit about you because of your knowledge of the gospel and what Christ has called you to, if that makes sense. Like, how does knowing Christ change the way you go about doing what you do? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. It sort of stuck out to me when you said you like let little things, I guess, especially like in video.
Yeah, I didn't mean it like,
well,
yeah.
No. Like I'm glad that you said it, because like it does. Like yeah. And it's like it's one of those things that like even from making like the videos that I made back in like high school for that class, like have I shown you the Tenacious D video? Yeah, I did. Like,
yeah, you did.
I made a video for a music video for Tenacious D's tribute, and it is awesome. Like, I love it. I still love it. Like, it's not that great, but like,
but you take
it's
such pride
awesome.
in the
Like, I'm like knowing like. I look at it and I remember what it took to make that video, like each part of that video happen, and I'm like, that took like, this part took so much work, this part just happened naturally. Like, I remember making it and like the joy that came in making it. But like, getting back on the point, like little things, like one of the things that Ryan Hall always told me, like when you're making something, like it's sort of weird, like your goal as a video maker, video editor, filmmaker, whatever you want to call it,
right,
is to not be noticed.
Gotcha.
Like, because like you're making this project, and at no time, and it's the same
Nothing
thing
should
as
be
like
distracting.
Yeah, it's the same thing as when I'm working camera up in the booth. Like if Pastor Tucker's running around and I completely lose him on the screen,
right?
People are gonna be like, where is he on the? What's going on
Where's
in the booth?
Where's the tech guy doing?
Like, what's wrong with the cameraman? Like, is he having like freaking
Taco Cabana up there?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and all of a sudden their attention's completely gone. They're not listening to the message, you know. And so that's the whole deal. Like
it's a stumbling block, bro.
Yeah, you're creating this, like when you're editing a video, you're creating this story, this account. Message, account message. And
this gospel.
Yeah, exactly. And in it, like if anything is like a little bit off, like at least as you watch it, if you notice something, you're like, people are gonna notice that too.
Right.
If it's like a hiccup or like a weird noise that happens, like somewhere off screen, people are gonna be like, "What was that? Why is that there?" So like, you get rid of it, and that's one of the things that I love. And like talking about how like anything that like I sort of like dream up in my head or like want to make happen, I can make happen. That's the beauty of Final Cut.
Get to play God a little bit.
yeah, a little bit. Like you can, like with enough time with enough like just messing with it, with enough practice and enough like poking around with like different options, like you can make whatever you want to happen in that thing. You can make like, I don't know, a picture pop up on the screen next to someone's head or something, like at the exact right moment, stuff like that. And like to the point where like if it's a little bit early or a little bit late, it looks weird. So you want it at that exact right moment. You can make it at that exact right moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so stuff like that, being that meticulous, is just to the point like where, at least in terms of making the logging, like I was that meticulous because I wanted it to be like perfect. You know, I wanted it to be like that, like account, so you could relive it, not relive it and be like, wait a second, what does that mean? You know, like have like that weird
attention to detail.
Yeah, exactly, attention to detail, so that it's like it's seamless, and from beginning to end, you're like in it, and it's hilarious, and you're focused on. Like, oh my gosh, like Daniel Deanna, like, what a guy, like, as opposed to like, that's weird how it sort of like, why did it cut off in the middle of what he was talking about, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that. And so, yeah, and because it's like, especially like, because all of the sophomores, especially when I started like showing them bits and pieces of it, they kept asking about it, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, are you finished with it yet? Can we see it? And I'm like,
you.
like, wait, it's not ready yet. Because I'm like,
can't rush perfection,
exactly.
baby.
I'm like, I want it to be as good as possible for them as it
right, because you want to give it to them. It's
because,
a gift.
Yeah, it's
right.
a gift, and I want it to be like the best that I can make it
right.
because, like,
you want to honor them.
I want to honor them. Yeah,
that's
because,
so cool.
like, you know, I view those guys like the sophomore class, my buddies, the
so
fish
highly,
class,
yeah.
so highly, and I view them like just as a complete blessing, you know, from the Lord.